Hello, and welcome to In the DeNovo, a series of video interviews with today's thought leaders on everything to do with treasury management, product management, and instant and faster payments, covering topics from payments to industry trends and other exciting subjects coming in the future. I'm Will Grace. I'm the host, founder, and managing director here at DeNovo Treasury. We're a consulting firm focused on helping financial institution leaders define strategy, transform client experience, and grow revenue in the treasury management space. Thanks for joining us and staying in the know with In the DeNovo.
And then for me, is we talked a little bit about kind of the world of the artist, right? But the moment that I started thinking about, what's the job that art does in people's lives, was a game changer for me in terms of how I kind of play this out.
Yeah, you wrote a chapter in a book about this, about what the job that art does in someone's life, and it was interesting to me because it depended on what value that provided, because there were certain levels, right? And you equated this to the was it Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and that was kind of my epiphany, right? I was sitting there with these artists, and I was talking to these artists, and they were struggling. Really, they were struggling with pricing, right? Because some of them were kind of doing cost plus pricing. It's like, oh, it cost me so much to make this painting or this sculpture, but I kept going back and thinking about this and thinking about what's the job that the art is doing? Why are people buying it? One of the famous quotes about jobs to be done, Arthur Levitt, who was a Harvard Business School professor, said that customers don't want quarter-inch drills; they want quarter-inch holes. And the drill is the way. So the thing that I kept thinking about, I was like, well, you don't hang a painting on your wall because you want to cover up a quarter-inch hole. Why are you hanging the painting on the wall? And that that kind of led me to thinking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and that led me to thinking about what's been part of the jobs to be done framework from the beginning, which is the idea that there are functional jobs, right? Which are sort of our traditional use cases, right? I have a pen, right? What's the functional job of the pen? The functional job of the pen is to write things down, right? I need to capture information. But in a lot of products, we have emotional jobs and psychological jobs and social jobs that are going on, and that those are the jobs that art is doing for us, and that that translates very well to then thinking about kind of at its first cut, luxury products. And there was this, and I quote this study in the book chapter. There was a research study that was done looking at high net worth individuals and the reasons behind their purchase of art, antiques, Persian rugs. We're talking the top 1% of the top 1%. And the hypothesis kind of going in was, well, they're making investments, right? They're buying a Rothko painting because they know it will increase in value over the time. But when they actually talked to people, they said, no, that's not why we're buying it, right? Part of it is we're buying it because we want people to see that we appreciate that kind of stuff, right? It's status and social. We're buying it because we want to have something to leave to our children, right? And yes, there's a little bit of function. There's a really interesting set of research that was done on art, particularly in China, where it becomes a tangible way of transacting with officials without it being cash, right? I can give you a painting instead of giving you cash. But yeah, it's kind of funny. But when we actually look at them, and the study referenced them as treasures, right? They were considering them as treasures. And I love that, which is why I started to think about these things as treasured products, right? We don't buy them because we necessarily think we're going to sell them. We buy them because of what they mean to us, and what they might mean to our friends and our family. And that's It's applicable in art. It's applicable in luxury goods. It's definitely applicable in hospitality, right? And I was actually talking to somebody about this just the other night. MasterCard said it so well, right? In their priceless ads, you remember those? Right?
Oh yeah.
So, tickets to the baseball game, $100.
Right.
Food at the baseball game, $75.
Right.
The hat or the glove or whatever souvenir you bought, right? $100. Spending time bonding with your son, priceless.
Right.
And that's really something that you see is that as we begin to touch on these kind of higher order needs, what Maslow would consider higher order needs, the value becomes very different. And our ability to deliver value and our ability to price to value shifts from being a commodity, right, to being something that's meaningful for people. And it works with art, and it works with fashion, and it works with luxury goods. But it also can work with other consumer products, and I think business to business products too. That's where it gets really weird, right?
Yeah. So for what you're doing when you're coaching an artist, gosh, this is fascinating to me. Mm-hmm. And you talked about where they were kind of with how they were going to go price. They were thinking more about the work that they put into the piece of art rather than probably the way that they should approach this then is like the story behind it, right? And the story behind them. I love it when a good conversation comes together. We are so lucky to have friends willing to sit down and talk with us about the industry. For more content like the video we shared today, check out our website at DeNovoTreasury.com and our YouTube channel at DeNovo Treasury. Thanks for joining us today for In the DeNovo. See you next time.